Welcome to the We Are Depotlease podcast series. This is episode 1. Today we interview and speak with the legendary Deputy Hookem. He's from Deputy Hookem and Bookem, aka Forensic. He is a law enforcement officer who turned into a rap artist and a huge nonprofit organizer, and he has done a lot in the law enforcement community. We talk everything from his growing up in his college days to being on patrol, into his music, future music and past music, and on how he makes his songs and how he gets so much emotion into them. So it was a great time to sit down with him, and I really hope you enjoy it. What's up, man?
What's happening?
How's it going?
It goes.
I'm very excited to talk to you.
You guys are ready to go whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. I'm very excited, man. I see you got the San Diego hat. You've been posting a lot about them. They made it to the final 2, didn't they?
They did. Tomorrow night. That's when my voice is a little not here, because I was very excited yesterday.
Oh, did you go to the game or?
No, I was actually at a Padre game, and they had it playing on the screen. They actually opened up the Padre Stadium 2 hours early so that people could go and watch the state game before the Padre game. So I did that, and the stadium lost it at that last second buzzer shot. So
yeah, so I'm
my Aztecs today.
I'm not a huge basketball fan, but my wife went to Baylor University, and I just kind of know a little bit about it. Right. But if you wouldn't have posted that, I probably wouldn't have known.
I'm not a huge basketball fan either, but I am a San Diego State fan.
Did you go there?
I did.
You did go there? Okay. What did you graduate in?
Criminal justice.
Criminal justice. Did you get your associate's, master's?
Bachelor's.
Bachelor's. Oh, I just skipped the bachelor's. I just went straight from
it's
small one to the big one. All right. Yeah. I don't want to get too far ahead. I've been a big fan of you for a long time. When I graduated, the police academy, I believe, is the year that you released Saving a Hero.
Okay.
And my wife actually showed me the music video, and I was like, wow. And so I kind of kept tabs on it after that, kind of gotten with the humanizing the badge and everything like that. But I kind of want to go back. I know in Human, the song, that's one of my favorites. And that song, I believe it's that, don't let me get it wrong because it's one of my favorites, but you said since you were young, you always wanted to be the one that they called on for help. So have you always wanted to be in law enforcement, or?
Not necessarily law enforcement. So both of my parents were actually paramedics.
Oh, nice.
So I grew up, hearing the stories and the mindset and the life of a first responder. It's always been something that was very interesting to me. I can remember clearly when I was a kid, picturing like lights and sirens and, going to calls and stuff and just wanting to be that person that, was there to make a difference and make things better. It didn't actually translate into law enforcement until probably like my senior year of high school.
Oh, wow.
It was not something that, looking back, I was like, oh, I'm going to be a cop, but I always loved cops and law enforcement and the whole lifestyle. So I think I chose that path a little bit more than the paramedic firefighter side, just because I don't know. I look at it differently. Like, I feel like, I've always told myself that I don't want to be the one doing medical, I won't say procedures, but
exactly,
that's a specific niche thing, right? And if you screw something up, you could really hurt somebody. Yeah. And as a law enforcement officer, I can do what I can do, but I'm not trained like a paramedic. So if I try CPR or I try something and it doesn't work, I'm doing the best I can. If I was a paramedic, knowing how my mind works, I'd be like, I should have been able to do that. I should have been able to fix that.
You're still going to get sued, but at least you'll be all right. So you went straight out of high school, and did you go straight? Did you grow up in San Diego?
Yeah,
that's where you grew up at. Did you end up working for San Diego PD?
No.
Okay, so actually, I have a question because it's Deputy Hookem and Deputy Bookem, and so I know you wear black in all your stuff, and so, but I saw you in your you did a video with the NASCAR. I can't remember the guy's name that you did. You did
Oh, yes, Kyle Weatherman.
Kyle Weatherman, yeah. And you had a sheriff's patrol car. And so were you a deputy? Were you?
No, I like to keep people guessing. That's the number one goal. So mix up the uniforms, mix up the cars.
I know. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's cool. So you graduated from high school. Did you have any other jobs, or did you just go straight to college? Or?
Yeah, no, I worked as a waiter at a restaurant,
Which
a
one?
family Italian restaurant, and
What was the restaurant called?
I'm not going to share that with you.
Oh, okay. That's fine. What style of food?
It's Italian.
Italian.
So
Oh, wow.
it was like a hole in the wall family style Italian
Oh,
place,
nice.
and owned by a family for many, many, many generations. And
Okay.
they showed me a lot of love, took care of me, and I did everything. I washed dishes. I waited on tables. I did anything you could imagine at the restaurant. And I did that um, through like back into high school, beginning of college, and then I actually got into law enforcement through like an Explore program.
Oh, okay.
Did an Explore program internship, and that's kind of what took it off for me for that
Oh.
stage of my life.
And then you went to San Diego State University
I
and
did.
graduated, and then you went to the police academy?
Yeah, yep. I got hired shortly, right around the time I graduated college. I got hired by an agency and went through an academy.
If you can say what year was that?
It was 2012.
2012 is when you graduated from college. Wow, okay. So do you have achy joints and you see yourself kind of snapping at your kids or at your wife or at friends? I had that problem until I started taking CBD oil. I was snapping at my kids. I was snapping and arguing with my wife. I was having joint pain. I wasn't sleeping very well. So I locked up with CBD Ops and they sent me some CBD oil and I started taking this every day. After a couple months, I just started feeling a lot better. I was sleeping better. I wasn't hurting as bad whenever I woke up. And I found out that I wasn't snapping at my kids or arguing with my wife as much. So CBD oil has really helped me a lot. CBDops.com. You can pick up some CBD oil or you can get some menthol gel. This stuff has worked great after the gym. I've put it on. It kind of helps you with your sore joints and everything like that. The cool thing about this is it is law enforcement owned and it is 100% THC free. So you don't have to worry about popping hot on a drug test or anything like that. And another cool feature they have is each bottle and each box has a QR code in it. And so you just scan the QR code. Each batch is tested through a third party. And the results from that third party are on the QR code website. So you can know that each bottle that you have received and that you're taking is 100% THC free. If you want to get you some of this, you need to go to CBDops.com. They sponsored this video and this podcast. You can save you some money. Use the code DEPOT and pick you up some. So that way you can better your life and not hurt anymore. I didn't go into law enforcement right out of high school. I didn't go to the police academy until I was 27. I'm 34.
Okay.
And so I went whenever I was 27. I honestly went whenever they had like the cop killings, when hunting down cops and everything like that. And I just went to my wife and I said, hey, like I have the want to go help people. And I think I have the ability. So I wanted to be one on the street to help other cops as well.
Sure.
And so I went to the police academy, and the police academy I went to was a very military style police academy. And it's not in the city I am now. And it was hard. It was a rough academy. And I see academies now and they're a lot easier and they're a lot smoother. Was your academy like a military style academy or was it more like a school setting?
Yeah, no, it was military style, but there was some of both. In Southern California, like the big heavy military style ones is like LA sheriffs and Orange County sheriffs. Similar to, most academies are similar to that in Southern California. But some of them kind of ease up on the military style thing at some point in the academy. But I mean, we rode it all the way to the end. It just wasn't as like if you screwed up, you were still pushing, and they would have you do that. But there's obviously a lot to teach people, especially in the state of California. I mean, our academy's 6 months and it's like 960 hours. So they have so many requirements to cram into that academy to teach cops that there's a point where they have to kind of say, okay, enough with the games.
Yeah.
Let's
focus on book work a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We had to do push-ups before we could enter the classroom.
We would do them every break.
Yeah. If you went to the bathroom, you did push-ups before you came back in. If they sent you to get paperwork or to get something, you had to do push-ups before you came back in. So I lost a lot of weight whenever I was in the academy. And it was I did it in the summer, and our PT, they decided to do it at 3 p.m. Because if we did it at 8 a.m., everybody in the previous academy was too slow and we couldn't get enough bookwork in. And so it was like 105 degrees outside and we're wearing it in the parking garage. It was just like desert. I hated it. It was awful. And so, were you always in music?
So I kind of started dabbling in music, I'd say probably like 11, 12 ish.
Okay. So when you graduated college?
No, age 11 or 12.
Okay.
So, many years ago, I really got into it, as far as like something about, like rhyming really was interesting to me. Like the ability to create rhymes with words and to make things jive as a story while having to rhyme the ending. It was very interesting to me. So as a young kid, I kind of took to that aspect of music, and especially with rap music. And I kind of started initially writing, like, I don't want to say poems, but like writing lyrics, I guess, without the thought of putting it to music. And then probably about the age of 12 or 13 is when I really kind of started putting it to music. Downloaded a program off of LimeWire at the time.
Oh, yeah, LimeWire.
Big program.
LimeWire and ShareBear were the two that I used.
Yeah. I downloaded like a music editing software, and had a microphone that was USB that plugged into my computer, and just started messing around with it. And, it kind of grew from there, and I got more interested in it and looking up how to do things. And so I did music basically from 13 on until about the age of college. And I went by Forensic at that time as well.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So people in my high school knew me by that. I had music that was done under that. I actually had a manager. I traveled and performed on the East Coast, and some up in LA and Hollywood and that kind of area.
Is that music still out there if we search hard enough?
You could probably find some of it, and some of the songs actually have been redone. So if you're familiar with my albums, the song Cali Step.
Bro, I listened to that one while I was driving here. It's one of my favorite ones. It's on my gym podcast. It's on my gym playlist. I think that's a good song.
I was like 16. I was in high school when I wrote Cali Step.
Wow. Okay.
So when I re-recorded it for the album, I kind of tweaked a few words here and there. What More? Also, I wrote that when I was a teenager.
Okay.
And the song Pain, I wrote that when I was a teenager as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So some of that stuff kind of got recycled and redone because I liked the structure of the songs and the words and why repeat work, I guess. But
well, if you have something good and you can touch it up, why not just go ahead and touch it up and kind of make it a masterpiece?
And obviously recording has changed a lot since 2005, 2006.
Oh,
yeah. So I did it up until about college, and then I kind of took a break from it, stepped back when I realized that I needed to focus on a career. I was actually going to try to go to college for audio engineering.
Okay.
I had put in for Cal State Long Beach, and I didn't get in. And that was their big program they had there was audio engineering. And I didn't get into any other colleges that had that kind of a program. So I just decided, well, I'm just going to stay local and go for criminal justice. So that's what I did.
Nice. So it was always rap music.
Yeah, it was. I've always had like an ambition to do something different, to try it, but I can't play any instruments. I wish I did. But I think the way that you have to really be into a type of music to try to do it genre specific. And you have to know a lot about the history and why things are done the way they are and who people are and all those things. So for me, forcing myself to do a different genre would be kind of fake, and it's just not me. But I do have a lot of interest in doing collaborations with different genres to kind of mesh them together so that those, are there for each other on both sides, and we can make some good music out of it.
I played drums. Mm-hmm. I didn't go to school and play drums because I couldn't read music, so they wouldn't let me in music class. My parents divorced whenever I was really young, remarried years later, so my childhood just kind of moved around from different cities. So I never learned how to play music, but I always played. I got in a metal band, like a post-hardcore metal band, but I love rap music, and I rap to every song possible. I did fast songs, slow songs. I know obviously Eminem songs. Like I just love fast rapping, and I also love slow rapping. So me and you actually got in kind of because I sent you a message on Instagram because you were making your new album, and I was like, I want to try to be on a song. Like that's what I want to. And so I didn't really get back with you because I wasn't, confident with what I had, but I actually wrote a song. I did write a song, a full song. Nice. Just to see if I could. I started just downloading some beats, and I wrote a whole song, and my wife was like, "You wrote that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." And it was I have it on my computer. I would remember what it was called now, but it was something about being there for officers and how the stigma. I could show it to you another time, but I did write it.
Yeah,
I
cool.
did write
That's
it,
awesome.
and I found a beat for it and everything, but I just wasn't confident in the way I sounded or anything. But I love
Yeah,
rap music.
that's the hardest part, man. You can't, you don't want to half-ass it. And if you're, it's taken years for me to get used to being able to go into a studio and just do it, and then listen to myself and critique it to know that's not good. I need to do this again. Because if you listen to stuff from years ago, it's so basic and so simple. And then that obviously that changes over time. So it's just something that takes a lot of time.
I guess one of the hard things would be recording it and then going and listening to it and being like, that sounds good, because it's hard to say that sounds good whenever it's yourself because you critique so hard.
Yeah, and that's why it's important if you're a musician to surround yourself with people who aren't afraid to critique you and also know their craft. So like my audio engineer and the people that I record with, the guy that records me is phenomenal, and he has a great ear, and he knows, like, I don't like that, let's do that again. And you have to put your faith in those people. You have to step back and realize that you're just the voice. You're not the whole project. So,
yeah. Staying on the music situation, did you stop filming whenever you went to the academy or not filming, but recording, or did you always just kind of do it in your patrol car, or was your department too busy where you couldn't do anything whenever you were in patrol? You had to do it after? Or?
Well, I've never, I don't do anything on duty. And that's just a lesson that I've learned over the years from watching other law enforcement officers on social media have issues with their departments.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously there's a public interest there if you're being paid as a law enforcement officer and you're screwing around on
our
duty.
taxes pay you.
Right. Yeah. So I've always kind of drawn that line in the sand. But when I started the academy, I hadn't done music in years. So I didn't have any social media. I was completely off social media. I was a cop for probably 4 or 5 years before I got into doing the Hook 'em and Book 'em videos.
Okay.
And I actually got into doing that before I got back into music. So
okay.
I was doing the Hook 'em and Book 'em videos, and I'd become friends with Officer Daniels, and we'd become, pretty good buddies, and hung out with each other several times, visited each other where we live.
Because y'all started on Vine, didn't you?
Yeah. So somebody actually sent him a old recording. It was somebody that I grew up with or went to school with or something, who followed him, and they're like, oh, he used to be a rapper, and they sent them a recording of one of my old songs from 2005. And
you're like, thanks a lot, man.
He goes, is this actually you? And I'm like, yeah, I used to do that. And he's like, damn, he's like, you're not bad. He's like, why don't you think about doing this for law enforcement and like tailoring it to the niche? And I was like, I never thought of that. I guess I could, he's like, nobody's doing that. You need to get a hold of that market and get in there and do that. And that's when I wrote Wolf Hunter. So
okay. That was a big one.
Yeah. And I wrote that. It was the first song I'd written in a long time, maybe 7 years, and got it recorded. And I was like, hey, what do you think? And he was like, I think it's sweet. So went and got it professionally recorded and got it out and put that out as a single. And then decided, based on the reception of Wolf Hunter, which was huge, it took off in the law enforcement community, I would finish an album and do one album. And that was my goal. And now I've done 2 albums. So,
and Wolf Hunter is on Order Chaos.
It's on Human.
It is on Human.
Yeah.
On Spotify, it has the blue logo, I thought, for the Order Chaos.
So there's a different cover for Wolf Hunter because it was the first single I ever released.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's
a single version of me. I'm actually wearing a Charger jersey, I think, in it. And then there's the album version, which is on Human.
Okay. I get them mixed up. I jump around and listen to a bunch of different songs. I usually just search a song on YouTube. I'm not used to opening Spotify and searching a song. My wife hates it. I'll just go to YouTube and search what song I want to listen to it. And so Order versus Chaos was that one after Human? Yes. And so I always thought, that's where I was confused, because I always thought Human came after. But it was before.
Human was the first one that I ever released, and it was in 2016.
And that's when you got with Relentless Defender, and they made the t-shirts.
Yeah, I've known the people at Relentless Defender. It's probably the first time I ever went to Police Week, which I think was 2017.
Okay.
So Human maybe it was 2016. I think it was 2016 because it was the year that Human came out. I was actually at Police Week, and I had met Aaron Slater, who's the owner of Relentless Defender.
Yes. They're not too far from me. They used to be closer. Now they're down in they're in Sugar Land area by Houston.
Yeah,
but I'm just north in Waco. I'm not too far.
Okay, yeah. So I met them back in 2016, but not like it was just like, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you, kind of a thing. We didn't actually start like becoming friends and working together for probably like another year or 2 years after that. But yeah, I've done a ton of work with them, and I can't say enough about them as a company and as people. They're phenomenal.
Yeah, I wanted to last year. I think it was last year, a year before. I wanted to go to the gala ball, and I did. I was upset. I didn't get to go to. I wanted to go so bad, and I didn't get to go to it. We couldn't get. We moved away. We don't have any babysitters. We don't have any family here. It's just me, my wife, and I have 3 children, and so it was hard for us to, because my family, the closest family, lives 5 hours away. So it was drive 5 hours to drop the kids, then drive 8 hours to the gala ball, spend the money on all the stuff, then drive back home 8 hours, then back home to where we live. So it wasn't able to happen.
Right.
And so, but I'll be there one day. One day I'm going to be there.
It's a good time. They put on a good event. I think I want to say I've been to 2 of them. I think I've been to 2. Yeah, it's a great time. You should definitely go.
And so I'm curious also for Deputy Hookem and Bookem. I think I know the story, but I don't want to get it wrong. Did y'all go to the academy together?
We did.
And then y'all moved in together.
Yeah,
and y'all were roommates.
Yeah, so we went through the academy in 2012. I bought a house in 2013. We weren't like super close in the academy. We knew each other from the academy. We were actually in different sections.
How many people were in your academy in your year of graduating? I'm just curious, trying to get that was 17 in mine.
Maybe like 100.
100?
Yeah.
You get lost in that.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
We knew each other. We saw each other in the academy and stuff, but we weren't like friends, I would say. Right. And then probably like a year later, I bought my house. And then maybe like a year after that, or maybe more, I had gotten a motorcycle, and he had a motorcycle, and I knew he did. So I hit him up one day and was like, hey, we should go ride together, because he's only one of the only other guys I knew that had a motorcycle. And so we went riding and hung out, and eventually it was like, hey, like, I got an extra room in my house. You're more than welcome. He was looking to move out of where he was living, and I was like, hey, dude, like, you want to move in, you can. And he did, and we became best friends after that. He lived with me for a long time, 5 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah. So
does he still live close by?
He does still live close. Yeah. So we still get to hang out every once in a while and see each other, but that's, it's harder to do social media stuff when you're not living together.
Yeah,
we're
definitely.
Bored in the house, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
So.
Are you still in law enforcement?
I am.
Are you still a police officer? And is he?
Yes.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to ask is it true? I think I heard you say this, but I'm not sure. Was that you watched Officer Daniel's Vines and thought you could make funnier ones, so you started making them?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. No, Bookem actually showed them to me. So Bookem had Vine, and like I said, I didn't have social media really at all at this time. But Bookem had Vine, and he would watch them, and he would it's just like, you watch TikTok now, and it's like every time you scroll, it's like, oh, that's funny. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So he would just laugh at these videos, and I was like, I'd hit him up like, dude, what? You're always like cackling at your phone. What are you doing? So he was like, oh, there's this app. It's Vine. It's like these funny videos. And that kind of goes to my personality my whole life. I've always been like, when I was in 2nd and 3rd grade, teachers would tell my mom, oh, he's going to be our first Oscar winner. Like, he's going to be an actor. That's, because that's just something I've always been a performer, I guess you could say. Like, you've always
been good at it.
Well, I've always had a memory for remembering lines. I've had a memory, an ability to emulate things and act them out as if I saw them in a movie. Ever since I was literally 2 and 3, I was doing that. Yeah. It's just always been something that I've enjoyed and been good at. So when I saw this and I saw these comedy videos and things, I was like, oh my God, like, that'd be fun. I could do that. And then when we saw Officer Daniels, he was like, oh, you need to check out this guy. He's hilarious. He's a cop. And I was watching his videos, which were funny. Right. But not as funny as I could be. So I was like, bet you I can do this funnier. So I made one and tagged him in it, and he ended up following me, and we became friends messaging after that, and it's been a story ever since.
And that was in 2016-ish?
Yeah, probably about then, 2015 maybe.
The one I remember that you and Deputy Bookham did was you were in the shower. And you had like some shampoo or something. It was like Grow and Bold or something.
Thickening shampoo.
And you like rubbed it on you, and you got out of the screen, and then he popped up and was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. Actually, that one just came up on my phone the other day, and I was like, "Oh man, this is great." We had a bunch of them, man, and we would have such a good time between stuff like that, the State Farm ones.
And the State Farm one is his dad is.
His dad actually does, right? Does work with State Farm.
Yeah, so I saw you were on the Poorly Made Police podcast yesterday, actually. I just saw it. And I watched like the first few minutes, and then I was like, well, I don't want it to answer questions that I have questions for, or steer me out of my questions because you already answered them, so I didn't listen to it. So you've probably answered these questions 1,000 times, but I truly just want to know.
All good, I'm used to it.
And then your wife is Misdemeanor. Misdemeanor. When did you guys meet? And was she in social media before y'all met?
She was not. No. So we met in 2016-ish, the later part of 2016, and she kind of became like our crew, I guess you could say. Like, she had a really good eye for recording things and making sure things matched up, and there was continuity between shots and ideas for things. And then we had her do a couple little roles. There was one video, I don't know if you've ever seen it, where I'm at the door talking to a mom, and my wife is playing.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen that one.
Fighting the daughter behind us, right?
Yes.
So that tirade that she goes on in that video, we literally were like, okay, go. And she just did that. And that was one take.
Really?
And we were like, holy crap. Like, she's actually really good at this.
Like, we got something here.
Yeah. So we decided kind of that we were lacking a female counterpart. And that was true for us and for Daniels and for Mike the Cop and, all these guys, Baker. I mean, anybody who was doing videos at the time, it was nice to have that female side of things, especially for her to represent females, law enforcement, and kind of put that on the map. So
yeah, because all y'all had was Tammy at that point, right?
Exactly. So we just kind of, we made her page and came up with the name, and I was like, this is fucking clever as shit. Like, let's roll with it. So it worked out. But she definitely is not, I think out of the three of us, I'm the one that's stuck with it the longest and done things with it the longest.
Yeah, because Bookham doesn't do it much anymore.
No. And it was, it was always me bugging him like, hey, let's film this. Let's do that. He's such a good sport about it, But I think it just, again, something I've liked doing my whole life. So to me, it's natural to keep going with it and wanting to do it. But life gets busy. Life gets in the way, so sometimes
if you're ever in Waco, Texas and want to film some, I will film all day. I love them. I love making them. Whenever I make mine, my TikToks and stuff, I have a vest. My wife actually got me a vest for like Father's Day or my birthday. And she's pretty supportive with it. So, but I like to make dark humor ones and some funny ones. And honestly, I like to make like the last one I made. If you watch TikTok, it was like the strobing light, and everyone's like, are you okay? And it had like an officer going, I'm fine. And then it transitioned, and it was a girl singing, and it got dramatic, and it was like depression, anxiety. And like, I know you've seen those TikToks before. And I was like, I get it, but those are played out. So I made one, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And when transitioned, I was like, why didn't the doctor let me drink 3 energy drinks a day? Why did dispatch eat the last donut? I should have been a firefighter. Like, so I try to make them opposite, like funny, because I get the other style of it, but it's like, those are kind of played out. I like to counter it with some
cringy.
humor.
Yeah, they're a little cringy.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think, man, like, I think you reach more people with that twisted humor and that like tongue in cheek kind of a thing, slapstick comedy, than you do with cringy comedy or not comedy, but cringy, creativity. But again, everybody does what speaks to them and what they think resonates with people. And if it works and it helps somebody, I'm all about it.
Yeah, no, that's great. We can get back. I have some questions, the questions that I had sent you that I want to ask. I want to know, so Fallen, the song Fallen, did you know anybody that worked in Dallas, or?
I know people in Dallas. I did not know any of those officers. But I found out after the fact that the Dart officer Thompson actually followed me and knew who I was and listened to my music.
Okay.
So I was there in Dallas after the incident. And we were at a restaurant, and I actually got approached by one of his partners and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that he really loved your music." And I was like, "Oh shit. Like that's crazy."
Yeah. That would be a hard one to take like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a rough night. I remember that night. Cause I was in Odessa, Texas, which is about 6 hours away from Dallas. But I mean, it just reached to us. It was like my first week working at Odessa. I don't work at Odessa anymore, so I can talk about it. And that's where I went to the police academy. And the next day I remember walking in, and it was just a normal day. Nobody really said anything about it. It was just like, you put it between your head and your cap, man. You just right. Put it back there. That way you don't think about it. But I remember that was my first night with my wife being like, oh shit, like that could be my husband, you know? And I went and listened to the SWAT radio to the whole night. I was invested, and so I loved that song, man. That's a powerful song. And I think it touched a lot of people. I know it reached a lot of people. And I was just curious on if you knew anybody, because you don't get artists that make individual songs like that very often.
Yeah. And so with Fallen, I think, obviously, like you said, that was a terrible evening. And I remember vividly where I was working when it happened. And I remember us getting messages on the computer from dispatch, like, hey, just FYI, 5 officers down in Dallas, keep vigilant. Cause we don't know if this is a planned orchestrated thing countrywide. And I remember that feeling, and my wife, likewise, who's also in law enforcement, was not working that night. So she was at home watching the news, and of course her mind starts going. And so she's calling me, and she's crying, and she's upset, and I'm upset. And it was hurtful. It was very hurtful, because it was the first taste of hate against law enforcement.
Yeah. Like a hard taste. We had small things that we deal with all the time, but that was like an active, attack.
That people don't like cops, and that cops get killed all the time, right? Unfortunately, that's been something for generations. But that was the first, wow, we've reached a pivoting point in this country of open violence against law enforcement, and
it was organized. It was like an organized attack. Like it was.
Yeah. And as a musician, raw emotion makes the best music. And I remember needing to get that out, and I sat down and I had that entire song written in 45 minutes.
Wow. Oh, that's a great song, man.
Pure emotion. So I appreciate that, because I listen to that song and I still feel the same. It takes me right back to that moment. And that's why I included Chief talking in the song and all those things, because it encompasses everything,
Every year, whenever the anniversary comes around, I always post their badges, and it's always got your song over it, because that's the only song that really touches it and has the emotion of it. I mean, it's really good.
And what I like too that I was able to do with that is not specifically tailor it to that incident, but to, in general, law enforcement. But there's small nuances, like the Chief in the beginning talking, the album artwork. If you notice, it's 5 blue roses in the bundle, one for each officers. So those kind of things. But it's timeless when it comes to supporting law enforcement. And that's another goal of an artist too, is to make music that's timeless.
Yeah, it does. That song really, if you're listening to it, if you didn't know that was the Chief and you were listening to it, it's really a broad statement of that it's attack on law enforcement. But then you have that one line in there, I do this for Dallas. And it's like, oh, hey, this is for something, but it reaches everything. So yeah, that's a great lyrically made song.
Thank you.
You have a new album that you've been working on for a while now.
Yes.
And I've listened to your new one, your new single. You have 2, right? Relentless. That one's not as new.
Since Order versus Chaos, I've released Invincible, Relentless, and now Behind These Eyes.
Behind These Eyes. And you just released this one in January, didn't you?
Yeah. Yep.
And I want to ask, because I remember you did a snippet of an interview somebody was asking you, and you said you wrote it about a lieutenant. The album was really going to be, well, not the song, but the album was really going to be, you had some songs and some things in there that were going to be dedicated to the lieutenant. Yeah. And I don't want to get his name wrong, but I do see him on Instagram, and I don't know the story of him. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, a buddy of mine, it was his name's Stephen Williams. We were with Humanizing the Badge together. Um, Stephen worked in Alabama, and we had known each other since I started Humanizing the Badge, probably 2016. He was a huge supporter of my music. He was a writer for Humanizing the Badge. I think he wrote some stuff for police1.com many years ago as well. And he was just, part of the gang. He was part of the crew, and we would go places and he would go with us, and we would talk all the time, and just a good soul, a pure soul. So after the George Floyd incident, when riots were going on across the country, one of the nights that was happening, I was actually working a protest, and I had got notified that he had been shot and killed in the line of duty. When that it was the first personal experience I had had with actually losing a friend, not just a local officer that I might have run into here and there, somebody that actually supported me and I knew and talked to me, and I knew about his family and all those things. So when he was killed, there was somebody had come forward with a letter he had wrote to a follower. And the letter ends with him signing it, servant, guardian, sheepdog. And to him, that encompassed everything that a law enforcement officer should be. And Humanizing the Badge has posted about that many times. It's all over the internet. You could find it through them or Relentless Defender. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
Yeah. So the album is going to be called Servant, Guardian, Sheepdog. So Stephen being a huge supporter of mine, I have videos of him singing my songs in his car with his kids, and just a good soul. I was fortunate enough to be able to go to his funeral and spend time with his partners and with his family, and I still communicate with his family regularly. And but this album is going to be, it's a slow process, and it has been a slow process just because of life. But when it comes out, and it will come out, it's going to be Servant, Guardian, Sheepdog. It's going to be done in honor of LT.
Awesome. And I knew it was dedicated to him in a way. I didn't know if it was the album or songs, or if he had a song about him. And I didn't want to get his name wrong because I know vaguely about it. Not enough for me to touch really in depth about it at all. And so who started Humanizing the Badge?
So it started before, obviously, I was involved, but Mike the Cop was the biggest, creator in that aspect. And Mike kind of created it with some other people that, their goal was basically to humanize law enforcement. And then Mike was doing his things, obviously his funny videos and all of his stuff. And he linked up with Daniels. Daniels got involved, who linked up with me and Bookham. We got involved, and it is kind of built from there. We've done a lot of really cool things with them. And now it's actually run by Relentless Defender. So the Relentless Defender Foundation actually has taken over Humanizing the Badge.
And now it's Project Humanize, correct?
Yes.
Correct. Okay. And so do y'all still, I know that you're still donating. I see you donating checks to departments. Is that from you, or is that from Project Humanize? Or?
Yeah, that's from the nonprofit side that's run by Relentless Defender and Project Humanize.
And you have the other one. You have the other nonprofit as well.
Cover Now. Yes.
Cover Now.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's completely separate. That's more local to me in Southern California. But that is a retired law enforcement officer that started that nonprofit as well.
Nice.
And I help him with being kind of like social media advisory and kind of, ideas for how to get things out there and how to raise money and how to assist but they focus specifically in like catastrophic injuries in the line of duty kind of thing. So
we have I think it's a chief of police association here, and it's they donate money to families that an officer got killed in the line of duty or something like that. But it's not very well known. You just know if you go to a training class here, they show up and they're like, here's a challenge coin and we will help you when it happens, but they're really, really behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah.
Man, that's great. And so the songs that you did release, are they going to be on the new album?
Yeah.
How many songs do you plan on putting on the new album?
I'm not sure yet. Usually I like to go for at least 10. That would be ideal if I could do that. But we'll see. I mean, I might do like a 6 song album just to get something out there for people. Or I might record a bunch and go up to 12, 15, who knows? But I want it to be worth something. You know what I mean? I don't want people to hype up an album and then they get like one new song and they're like, "Oh, thanks for the one new song." So
no, that's great. And you putting out the one song here and the one song there, it kind of gives me the NF vibes. I'm sure you know who NF is, and he does that.
Yeah.
And he does that, and that gives me those vibes. And people don't go anywhere. I mean, if they really like the music, they're going to stick around even if it takes you forever.
Yeah, and that's honestly becoming way more popular with independent musicians to do just singles here and there, because it allows you to continuously get something going instead of waiting for this big album production and spending a bunch of money at once to get it all produced. And so I think that's kind of becoming the trend, but I'm a little old school, so I like the album thing. It makes me feel better.
Yeah. Man, I had a brain fart. I was just about to ask you a question. Oh, about independent music. Man, I've become a huge fan of independent artists. And it's great because I'll be like singing stuff or rapping stuff like around my wife. I'll just walk in the room and be like rapping something. And a lot of them, it's better music. It's better lyrics. They talk about better things.
I think artists commercially, big commercial artists, they are going for what's going to get the most listens.
Yeah.
Right. Even if that goes against their
moral beliefs or anything.
Yeah, that or their style or whatever. Like they'll twist it to make it more commercial playable. And independent artists just don't care. I mean, they just do them. And people like that. A big one that I follow is Burden. I don't know if you've ever listened to Burden.
Oh, yeah. He has the We Are the People.
Yep.
F. Biden. He's got a lot of... So I actually listen... Yeah, I listen to a lot of here lately, Vinjay, Gone, and what's the other one? Echo. I listen to them, and they're all the playlists that like Spotify recommends for me. Yeah. Burden is on there, and a bunch of other ones pop up there. I like Mercules. I think he's pretty good. Hobson and all them. And I like it.
He's so talented, so talented.
Yeah, he is pretty good. And Riot for Me.
Yes.
That was it came on when I was mowing, and I was like, who is this guy? And that's how I was introduced to him.
Yeah, my wife actually introduced him to me with We the People, and I was like, yo, this dude's great.
Yeah, and he just says what he thinks.
Tom McDonald's another independent guy that just says what he says and does what he does, but people love it. People respect it. And I'm not saying just like you have to say things politically that I agree with. On both sides, like if you're not checked by a record label or by a media mogul or somebody who wants a particular product out there, and you could just go in a studio and do whatever you do, that's what makes magic. That's why Eminem was so big, right? Because Eminem didn't give a shit. He just went in there, said whatever he wanted to say, knowing people wouldn't be okay with it. People ate it up. That's what people love. So
people like a little edginess.
Yeah, they do. And the increase in independent artists being able to easily get their music out there with all these common distributors now that are out there. 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you could never do that. Now you can record anything and get it on iTunes in a week. So it's huge. It's opened up this giant market, which is absolutely phenomenal from an artist standpoint.
Or TikTok. TikTok has become a real big thing for Atlas. I'm sure you know who Atlas is. And another one that I recently come across was Fix, Phix. Okay. And he's from Lubbock, Texas, which isn't very far from me. And he got really big on TikTok, and he's very good. But he talks about those things. Like, for an example, one of them was talking about how they don't cheat on their wife. Like, I want kids one day, so I know I don't have to cheat or something along that. And I'm like, you don't hear other rappers talk about this at all. No. And so it's like, it's good to hear those types of things because it's like, you're not telling people to go do all this stupid shit all the time. It's like...
Man, I could just go down the list. The Marine Corps rapper, he's a guy.
Is that the Patriot? No, they have the song The Patriot.
He's on The Patriot with Topher.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. Rapper is local here in San Diego.
Oh, really?
Topher, another great guy. Bryson Gray. It's just crazy to watch how this has exploded because, like I said years ago, if you weren't signed with big money, you weren't going anywhere. Yeah. You weren't doing anything
because they had all the connections and phone numbers and made all the money.
Yes, they did.
Bookham did an album, correct?
No. So that's actually another person named Bookham from New Jersey.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ironically, it's funny because whenever my Bookham would get messages about that, he would just go with it. He'd be like, yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Cause like, oh, they think I'm a rapper. That's cool.
Yeah. I always thought it was him.
Yeah, no. So Bookham is a guy in New Jersey. He's a cop in New Jersey. Phenomenal dude. Can't say enough about him. We've obviously we've done a few songs together. We've hung out together, and we actually performed together in Detroit. So
okay.
I actually brought him. I did a performance in Detroit with Detroit PD and some stuff with the kids in the community there, and Bookham actually came up on stage with me. So it was pretty cool to have him back me up, and it was a good experience. But yeah, completely different people, but a lot of people.
That's crazy. I thought it was the same dude this whole time. And then one time, does he still make music or?
I don't know if he's come out with anything recently, but another, great individual that I've been lucky enough to do music with. And
you could tell his was good. He did one of your songs, and it was where y'all were just talking in the beginning, and he came on talking, and he was like, "Thank you for letting me come do this. This is a good vent for me. This is good." Yeah. And when they say things like that, I'm like, "Oh, he's going to spit some good stuff," because it's emotion, like you said.
Yeah. And every time I do a song with another artist, it's a better song, instead of just it being me. Like, I feel like the collaborative effort creates a much better product. And from Bookham to one time, Doc Todd, these guys that I've had the ability to do music with, I've been very lucky. And in this next album, I want to do more of that. I want more guys to come on. I want more branching out with different genres and different everything. I've been talking forever with Cafe Anderson about doing music with him and doing a country rap thing.
Oh, nice.
So we've been in communication.
What's it called? A hick talk? Is that what they call it? Or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. So, the sky's the limit, honestly. I mean, you can mix anything and make it work. So as long as you got the creative juices flowing, it can happen.
Okay. Do you know, I know you've commented on him stuff. So Schaefer.
Yeah.
He's I followed him. You shared one of his things. I think it was it was him in the snow, and he had like I think it was a wolf skin or something.
Schaefer, extremely talented dude, very unique style.
Was he a firefighter or is he paramedic?
Yes. I think he's a fireman. I have enjoyed watching him
blossom.
Grow.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I got sent his stuff very early on and was like, wow, this guy's like, his voice is unique. His delivery is unique. He's very, very quick. He raps very quick at times, and really, really talented. I really appreciate what he does. And we definitely have discussed collaborating, and there actually is a collaboration in the works on that. Nice. I just need to get off my ass and finish my end of it. So.
That's the story alive.
Yeah.
That's great, man. That's great. Do you have a projection of when the new album will be? Maybe like a year, 2 years, 3 years?
I would like to have it done this year.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would like to get it out in 2023, but
2-year Christmas present then. Because this last one was a Christmas present with the single. Yep. That'd be good.
Yep.
That'd be good. Yep. I kind of want to take it back to Patrol. I don't want to keep you too long.
Oh, you're good.
Kind of want to take it back to Patrol. California, San Diego area, crazy. I can't even imagine. I have been to LA.
Yeah.
I flew into LAX for our honeymoon, and we went and stayed at a hotel in Malibu. First day we were there, my wife fell, jacked her knee up, so we just kind of chilled. But I can't imagine the amount of people that are in those areas.
Yeah.
And so your beat area, let me ask, were y'all partnered up whenever you were on Patrol? Or was it just you? So nobody was partnered up?
It's pretty rare out here to partner up unless you're in a big central hub like LA, like downtown LA, downtown San Diego. And that's just because of staffing, I guess, that they want. But, they want more people in one car, so they can only send one car to a call. But it's not uncommon to see people solo.
Yeah. In my academy, in the department that I originally started with, their motto was, if you have 2 officers in one car, you're wasting 1 officer. That was his motto.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could see where you could get that, but I'm also like, the times that we live now, I mean, there's a lot of people, and if it's a rough area, it's like that could kind of turn around and bite you in the ass.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's a lot that we go to that can be handled by one car with one guy, but, it never hurts to have more, especially from the safety aspect.
Yeah. Actually in the city I'm in, they changed it where, if you do a traffic stop, dispatch sends you another officer immediately because they had an incident where a guy pulled a gun. And the officer actually went to like the passenger side, and the dude had the gun in his lap and was waiting on the driver's side. It was in the dark and thought they were going to come up there. And so they kind of changed it to where if somebody does a traffic stop, dispatch sends a second one automatically. Kind of sucks that you have to react like that. But I mean, like be reactive to a situation like that. Kind of sucks that you have to do that.
Yeah.
A guy from New York PD works down here now.
Okay.
And so I can just say San Diego and New York, like that's the same to me with the amount of people. Like that's crazy. Yeah. And I know wherever you worked in the county or city, anything like that, but his beat was like a block. And it was like 90,000 people in his beat. Yeah. And he said sometimes he wouldn't even leave an apartment complex. He would just walk up and down from domestic to theft, just solid. Is that how it is? Is that how it is down there in San Diego?
No, not really. I mean, San Diego County itself has, I think, like 3.5 million people. But it's big.
Not just 3.5 million.
But it's huge, right? It's like 4,000 square miles. So it's a massive area of land. It's literally half the width of California. And then you have Imperial County, which is like nothing, just desert, and like El Centro and Brawley. It's only two really big towns out there. But north, you have Riverside, you have LA, Orange, I mean, San Bernardino, all of these areas are huge areas. So you could live anywhere in this little region and work anywhere. So you could live in Riverside, work in San Diego. You could live in San Diego and work in Orange. You could live in LA and work in Riverside. So there's so many freeways and so many ways to get to places that it's not uncommon for people to live in one area and work in another area. It's not always like I got to work close to where I live kind of a thing. So that's unique because, you'll have partners that don't even live in the area you work in or the county you're working in. And that's, I would think, the same everywhere, but it's definitely not on the level of New York at all. But there's time it gets it can get a little chaotic sometimes, but it's the nature of the beast. It is what it is.
Do you believe in, some officers do, some officers don't. Do you believe in living where you work?
I don't, I think it depends. I've heard both sides of the argument. I think it depends on how you are as a cop. We know that people just don't like being arrested, and sometimes they take that out on us. For the most part, as long as you treat people the way that you should treat them and just do your job, you're not going to have many problems. That's my opinion on it. I can see why people wouldn't want to, and I think that that's absolutely okay, and that's right with them. And what works for them works for them. I know other people who really want to be involved in the community, and they want to live there, and they want to protect it, and they want to be, homegrown. And I think that's cool too. I think it's, different strokes, different folks, and whatever makes you feel safe and comfortable, I think is up to you.
So you're pretty lenient. You don't care either way.
No, I would never set a hard rule on that.
Yeah. I just know, people that I talk with, one person was like, I will only live where I work. I preach that. And then somebody else is like, I don't like to live where I work.
Yeah. And
so I was just like, it was just curious to me. I don't know if I would really care. I just don't want my family in a bad area, basically, is what it comes down to.
Yeah. And, honestly, like I said, depends on how you treat people. You could be recognized by people for good or for bad. Yeah. And, I've had both, but I've had more good. I've had more people say, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but you arrested me, whatever. And I really appreciate what you did. And, thanks for treating me how you did. And you're like, okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
How do, since you're still on patrol or you still work in law enforcement, when you get new recruits, do they recognize you? Do you have any of them recognize you?
I've had that happen. Yeah. I've had trainees that knew who I was for many years and had no clue that I worked where I worked. And they would find out like, oh, your training officer is going to be so-and-so. And they'd be like looking at my department photo and they're like, oh my God, I know that guy, I've had that happen.
So did you have to get all that out of the way on the first day? Be like, dude, you're going to put this in the back of your mind. We are working right now.
Yeah. Honestly, one of my favorite trainees I ever had, great cop. We actually have the running joke because when he found out I was going to be his training officer, he actually unfollowed me on everything and was like, oh, I got to lock it in. The dude didn't mention it at all. So week 1 of training, something came up and it had something to do with, I forget what it was that came up, but somehow it came up. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. You're going to probably hear this. People talk about this. This is what they're talking about. And he was like, yeah, I know. I've followed you for years. And I looked over at him in the car and I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, I unfollowed you though. When I found out you're my training officer. And I was just like, you what? And he's like, well, yeah, I didn't want any trouble. So I unfollowed you. And I'm like, okay, pull the car over.
Follow me back.
Yeah, I need those numbers, baby. I need the follow.
Yeah. So. Not retentioning training. That's what you're going to get if you don't follow.
Right. So yeah, but there are those conversations, right? And it's like, look, we're at work and let's focus on work. But I think the thing about me personally is I am the same online that I am in person.
Yeah.
Literally all Instagram does for me is it just lets you guys kind of see my life a little bit. I am that way all the time. So, it's not like I'm a completely different person off the internet than I am on the internet. And I think people that know me see that. And so it's kind of easy because people just oh, that's just him.
I know that dude. And that's why whenever, oh, you're freezing. There you are. So whenever we've talked a couple times, through DM, you responded real quick. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, well, that's cool. And I was like, yeah, we're friends now. We're good. He responded back. We're cool. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I've always looked at things that way. I would not be where I'm at as influencer status. I would not have been able to make the impact in law enforcement that I've been fortunate to make without people supporting me. My music will not have reached people. I might not have helped through my music, people not hurt themselves and seek help instead. All the positives that have happened from my social media are completely unachievable without the support from cops and from the people who support me. And I've always looked at that as I have a duty to be responsive to people. I have a duty to engage with people because I understand the importance of having someone that you look at as important or a celebrity figure support you and support what you do. And that to me is the overall mission of social media and law enforcement and what we do. If it wasn't me, I don't care that it's me. I don't care that I'm the guy that has the profile that people follow. But the fact that there's somebody who does and who is there for cops to support them and show them support, especially during the times that we're in, to me, that means more than anything. And I'm just happy there's people out there that allow cops to feel that love and support. So I have to give it back to people. I would not be able to have experienced the things I've done without people supporting me. So
that's great, man. That's one reason why I kind of wanted to start this podcast. I don't know if you know what Depotlease means. Do you get the reference? It's a Depotlease. Depotlease.
Okay. Okay.
And so it's a play of words. And so that's why I kind of wanted to do it. I've been in the social media thing for a little while now, and I love talking to people. I love learning, and I think you can learn so much in this career. You'll never learn as much as you need. And I love hearing people tell me their stories, whether they've been through an incident, how they overcame that incident, or if they were heroic, what made you do that? Why'd you make these decisions? So that's why I wanted to start this, is because I just want to learn. Yeah. So I'm kind of being selfish because it's kind of for me, honestly. Right. And I'm like, well, if I'm learning, other people can learn too. And so Absolutely. That's why I wanted to start this podcast series. So This is episode 1. And I thank you. Thank you for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. It was an honor to have you on here. I've been following you for so long, and it's great. You are welcome to come back anytime. Unless I annoyed your ass, then it's okay. I appreciate it. Just don't ever say anything.
I appreciate it. And it's always good to see people try to get more info out about law enforcement. And the more lines in the water we have, the more people we're going to influence and affect. And
exactly. And like you said, if it's not me, it's somebody else. But I'm a big thing on officer safety, and I think you can learn. And that's why I started with breaking down body camera videos on my YouTube, but I'm not a professional. And so I want to learn from people as well. So I was like, I talk to people in general. So I was like, let's just record it. Let's have some fun with it.
Absolutely. I'm all about it.
So Forensic, Deputy Hookem, I greatly appreciate you coming on here. Thank you for making episode 1 fantastic. Do you have any last questions or last thing you want to say?
No, just wish you the best of luck with it. Podcasting is fun. So kick ass and don't stop. Don't ever worry about what you're going to talk about because somebody's going to like it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.